Hello, welcome to my A.K.I guide. This has been a project that I've been working on for a while now. People have requested it. This is also, I should mention, this is a sub request from my stream. So thank you to everyone who subbed. It was a sub goal for a while. So let me start from the beginning. Who am I? If you don't already know, if you're not familiar, I'm Broski, long-time Street Fighter player. I've been involved in the FGC for a very long time. I've been an A.K.I main since the day she came out. She just kind of clicked with me. You know, I've been competing with A.K.I for a while. I've done, lots of CPTs. I won a CPT with A.K.I. I got, legend rank. So that's kind of like my background. I consider myself to be like, I don't know, an A.K.I expert, if that doesn't sound too arrogant. But yeah, so I'm doing a guide here for everyone who wants to learn how to play A.K.I. So let's start off with why play A.K.I. I think A.K.I is really fun. It's hard for me to recommend a character for reasons beyond that. She's very rewarding. She's a bit technical, but she's the kind of character who like has more and more layers of depth the more time you put into her, and I really like that. That's my kind of character where you never feel like you're done learning stuff, she's always got something new to find. In terms of A.K.I.'s archetype, people ask, like, what kind of playstyle does she have? It's hard to pin down. She doesn't really play like anyone else in the game. I can't really say she fits into like an existing archetype. So the best way I describe her playstyle is she's kind of hit and run. She can play very slow at distance, and then she can suddenly very quickly get in and be very explosive up close, and then easily get back out again. So she's kind of like, she's a character that you play at two speeds generally. You either rush down or you back off, and you want to constantly be switching between those two speeds. If you played Fang, I get some questions sometimes about does she play like Fang because she is Fang's apprentice in Street Fighter 5. She has a lot in common with Fang, particularly with the poison mechanic, which we'll get into later. But I actually don't think she plays that much like Fang. Quite a few Fang players did not move on to A.K.I. So if you're an existing Fang player, I don't know if I can recommend her, but give her a try, see what you think. So the structure of this video is going to be, basically I'm going to be working off an existing document. So everything that I say here, in this video, there is going to be kind of a Bible to go alongside it. So if you want to get the written version of all of this, because you don't want to try and memorize everything from a video, look in the description. There is going to be an enormous document with everything that I'm about to say if you just want the pure information written down. So I'm also going to have time codes in the video description as well. So if you want to jump to a particular section to find out some specific information, then of course that's there for a reason. I don't expect anyone to sit down and watch this in one sitting and absorb all that information. This is meant to be kind of like a video that you can sort of come back to like frequently. You can refer to it, you can just watch a little bit and then try and absorb it. I don't expect anyone to just be an expert after one watching. It's supposed to be here for a while. Okay, terminology and assumptions. So making this guide, I am going to assume you are not a complete beginner to the entire concept of Street Fighter, okay? There are better guides than mine. If you are completely new to the genre or completely new to Street Fighter and you have no context for like any of this, I would recommend starting out with some like complete beginner tutorials of just like how to understand the game first before you watch this. I'm going to be using common FGC terminology, so if you don't understand the words that I'm saying or the terms that I'm using, there's going to be a link down in the description to Infill's Glossary, which is a really useful resource, and it explains in plain English what all the FGC terminology means. So yeah, use that if you don't know what I'm talking about. I'm also going to be using shorthand names for some moves, which I will mention as I go, because it'll get tiring after a while to say things like Serpent Lash when everyone in the community just kind of calls it Whip. Like, there's a lot of common names for things. So like Fireball, for example, Coward Crouch, but we'll get into those when we cover the moves. In terms of like notation terminology, I'm going to be using sort of standard Street Fighter notation for most inputs when I'm talking about them casually. So for example, quarter circle forward, half circle back, terms like this, when I'm just generally talking about things. But when we get down to actually notating combos, I will use numpad notation. If you don't know what those things are, again, you can consult the document in the video description. It will explain what those mean. Okay, so the context of the production of this video, I should also say, as of the time of recording, we're currently a few weeks into Season 2. A.K.I got major buffs in the balance patch. So, you know, more things may develop over time. I can't say that everything I say here is going to be 100% accurate forever. You know, things change, characters evolve, things develop. But that's where we are right now at time of recording. In terms of future balance patches, what I'll probably do in as they come out is I will record extra videos going over changes in the future as they come. Hopefully this guide doesn't become too outdated by future balance patches, but I can't predict what Capcom will do. But I will definitely do more videos in future to cover any future changes. So, with that out of the way, let's talk about system mechanics. Most system mechanics in this game are universal, so I'm only going to cover the ones that are uniquely different or have a special property worth mentioning that's specific to A.K.I. Okay, so Drive Rush. A.K.I.'s Drive Rush is extremely fast, and it covers an extremely long distance. He has one of the best Drive Rushes in the game, and this is a core part of her neutral game and her combos. I mentioned earlier that she's very fast as like a hit-and-run character. This is a big part of it. She can go from being far away to in your face very quickly and very efficiently. So her Drive Rush is very good. In terms of A.K.I.'s Drive Impact, it's worth mentioning that this Drive Impact is actually unusually disjoint. The hitbox for this Drive Impact extends further than the animation would suggest, but generally you don't need to know much about this. It doesn't change most interactions. It rarely matters because these things are armored regardless. But her Drive Impact is, relative to other Drive Impacts in the game, surprisingly good in terms of hitboxes. But again, doesn't really matter that much, but worth saying. So A.K.I.'s throws, her forward throw and back throw both do the exact same damage at 1200. But it is worth mentioning that her back throw gives significantly more knockdown advantage. Her forward throw only gives her a plus 19 knockdown, while her back throw gives her a plus 27 knockdown. I should also mention that her forward throw can be looped in the corner. She does have a throw loop. You simply walk forward after each throw. This is a manually timed walk forward, so make sure you learn the timing for this. You don't want to be hit by your opponent doing wake-up normals. So generally, I would say you only really want to forward throw if it's going to put your opponent in or near the corner, so that you can set up her throw loop game. If you're in the middle of the screen, or your back is to the wall, back throw is generally better because of the increased knockdown advantage. Okay, Poison and Toxic Blossom. Some of A.K.I.'s moves inflict a poison status effect. This poison will inflict damage over time. If you look at the opponent's health bar, it's very slowly draining away. The total damage of this poison is 420. I know, the meme. The poison status will be removed if A.K.I. takes damage from the opponent. It's also worth mentioning that poison damage cannot KO the opponent. Even while poisoned, they will just stay at 1 HP. Poison damage, interestingly, is not subject to combo scaling. So if the opponent is taking poison damage during a combo, even if the combo is super scaled and down to like 10% of the original damage, the poison damage will still continue to do its full damage. And this can be quite important in a lot of situations, because the poison damage becomes very noteworthy once you reach max scaling. Poison will naturally wear off 7 seconds after being applied if you are not hit out of it. However, it's very important to keep in mind that the poison status will continue as long as the opponent is in hit stun, which means that if you start a combo while the opponent is poisoned, the poison status will never wear off. You don't have to worry about losing poison midway through your combo, even if you pass the 7-second mark. Poison damage will also not tick during Aki's level 3 animation, as this completely freezes the timer, so you get no additional damage if your opponent is poisoned during this super. However, do note that her poison damage will continue to tick during her level 1 and level 2 supers, and this is particularly important for her level 1, which I'll go into more detail later. Toxic Blossom. Landing certain attacks on an already poisoned opponent will trigger additional effects. These additional effects are known as Toxic Blossom. These will be covered in detail with each move's breakdown as I get there. Do note that there are some moves that can apply the poison status, but do not have a unique Toxic Blossom effect. Alright, let's break down Aki's normals. Crouching Light Punch. Crouching Light Punch is a fairly standard 4-frame normal. It can chain into itself and also into Crouching Light Kick. It can also link into her Standing Light Kick, which is a very important part of Aki's combo structure. On counter hit, it can link into Standing Medium Punch. And on punish counter or after a drive rush, it can link into Stand Medium Kick or Crouching Medium Punch. It's also special cancelable, making it a useful combo tool. Standing Light Punch. Standing Light Punch is a 5-frame normal, making it slower than Crouching Light Punch, and it also has slightly less range than Crouching Light Punch. It's not particularly useful by itself, but it becomes a target combo when pressed twice. This target combo is also a frame trap, so you can catch your opponent trying to mash buttons in the middle. The forward movement on this target combo, where Aki steps forward between the first and second light punch, makes it the only way to confirm 2 lights at max range. Stand Light Punch also has the lowest recovery of all of Aki's lights, and this can sometimes confuse people who perfect parry it. It's only +7 after a perfect parry. Be ready to punish if your opponent drops their perfect parry combo. Jumping Light Punch. Jumping Light Punch is a kind of niche jump normal. It's fast on startup, so you can use it as an air-to-air. Due to the fast startup and the fact that it's angled downwards, this can actually be used for an instant overhead in certain fuzzy setups. But those are about the only uses I've found for that normal. Crouching Light Kick. Crouching Light Kick is a 5-frame light that also hits low. It can chain into itself and also into Crouching Light Punch. Crouching Light Kick is actually Aki's longest reaching light normal. Although at distance it's very difficult to convert anything afterwards. This normal is mainly useful to catch your opponent low on wake up, and it also is very useful as a drive rush normal, given that it will link into Standing Medium Punch afterwards. Standing Light Kick. Standing Light Kick is a 4-frame light, but it has longer range than Crouching Light Punch. It can also be linked into from Crouching Light Punch. Uniquely, her Standing Light Kick is the only light attack she has, which can combo into medium Serpent Lash. This forms a very important part of her combo structure, which we'll get into later on. Jumping Light Kick. Jumping Light Kick is one of Aki's 2 cross-up normals. It's also the only one of the 2 cross-up normals she has that can hit both front and back. Be aware though that the cross-up hitbox is very narrow, meaning that it can whiff easily if you're not directly behind the opponent's head. Also note that the damage and hit stun are very low to compensate for the fact that it can hit on both sides. You can usually only combo into lights afterwards. Crouching medium punch. Crouching medium punch is an 8-frame startup medium. Although note that it has quite a lot of recovery. It's quite vulnerable on whiff. It has the longest range of her special cancelable mediums. It's also the only medium that A.K.I has that can combo into OD Lash without a counter hit or a punish counter. This normal is mostly used for whiff punishing and for drive rush cancels from neutral. Standing medium punch. Standing medium punch is A.K.I.'s fastest medium at 6 frames startup. It's also special cancelable. This normal has short range relative to the rest of her mediums, but it has a good hitbox. This is also A.K.I.'s best normal for intercepting forward-moving approaches such as a drive rush. It can also link into lights on counter hit. And it can also link into itself on a punish counter or after a drive rush. Note that being 6 frames also makes this normal extremely good for punishing block drive reversals. Be careful using this button on whiff, as it causes A.K.I to step forward, which leaves her very vulnerable to whiff punishes. Jumping medium punch. This is an upward angled air normal, and it's designed exclusively to be used for air to airs. On hit, it does put the opponent into a juggle state. But if performed early in the jump arc, you rarely get anything afterwards. Even if you're unable to pick up a combo afterwards, you can still take advantage of the knockdown in order to get Oki. This can even be done from a backwards jump. Crouching medium kick. Crouching medium kick is A.K.I.'s best low. It's 7 frames startup. Unlike a lot of the best crouching medium kicks in this game, it's not special cancelable. But it makes up for this by being +1 on block. It's one of only 2 crouching medium kicks in the entire game that are plus on block. It's also +5 on hit, allowing you to link into any light afterwards. With drive rush advantage, this normal becomes +5 on block and +9 on hit. On block, you're plus enough to walk up and get a tick throw afterwards. And on hit, you can link into stand heavy kick. Crouching medium kick can also be super cancelled directly. The window to confirm crouch medium kick into super is very small. It may be possible for some players with extremely good reactions to single hit confirm this, but I can't do it. So be careful. The main usage of this super cancel is either to counter your opponent's drive impact, particularly in Burnout, or as a hard read on defense if you're sure your opponent is going to go for a shimmy. Standing medium kick. Standing medium kick is A.K.I.'s longest range medium. It's 8 frames startup, but it's not special cancelable. On hit, it will link into stand medium punch up close. It will also link into itself on counter hit. On punish counter or with drive rush advantage, it will link into standing heavy kick. Standing medium kick has an extremely good hitbox and a very small hurt box around her feet. A.K.I can easily go over low hitboxes, giving her a punish counter. When used as a whiff punish like this, you can link into Crouch Heavy Kick, Crouch Heavy Punch, level 1 and level 3 depending on the range. Jumping Medium Kick. Jumping Medium Kick is a situational jump normal. It's not particularly useful as an air-to-ground approach, but it can be very good as an air-to-air against certain dive kicks. Jumping Medium Kick can also hit standing characters when done instantly. While it's too slow to use this as an instant overhead, you can use this as a hard call-out option against meaty throws. Do be careful though, because if you use it in this way, even on punish counter, as you see there, A.K.I is still very minus afterwards. So I'd recommend only doing this as a way to close out rounds if you're sure your opponent is going to go for a throw. Crouching Heavy Punch. Crouching Heavy Punch is 10 frame startup, and it's a sliding low that acts like a sweep. This normal is very good for counter punishing other sweeps, even at max range. Although do keep in mind that not all sweeps are minus 10 on block. So practice this on a case-by-case basis. When landing as a punish counter, Crouch Heavy Punch will give A.K.I an extremely long, hard knockdown. This can be used to set up lots of good Oki situations. Be careful throwing this normal out though, because it's very unsafe on whiff and on block. Crouching Heavy Punch is also useful to end some juggle combos when focusing on Oki and corner carry, particularly when performed out of a drive rush. Standing Heavy Punch. Standing Heavy Punch is a 12 frame heavy with very long range, but it has a lot of recovery. It's minus 4 on block, but rarely punishable if spaced correctly. Standing Heavy Punch is not special cancelable, but it can be pressed twice to give you a target combo. This target combo can be delayed quite heavily, allowing for single hit confirms. The second hit of the target combo also inflicts poison if the opponent is not already poisoned. If the opponent is already poisoned, the second hit will activate a Toxic Blossom effect and launch the opponent, allowing full juggles afterwards. This target combo can also be used at the end of some combos to cheaply and efficiently re-poison your opponent. Jumping Heavy Punch. Jumping Heavy Punch is A.K.I.'s best traditional jump in. This normal hits very deep vertically, it can be pressed early in the jump arc, and will sometimes stuff anti-airs out of their startup. Overall, A.K.I.'s Jump Heavy Punch is her best jump in for an air-to-ground approach. Crouching Heavy Kick. Crouching Heavy Punch is a 10 frame poke with very good range. Although despite appearances, this normal is not a low. Crouching Heavy Kick is not special cancelable, and it doesn't link into anything on hit or on counter hit. Despite this, Crouching Heavy Kick is super cancelable, and the cancel window on this normal is enormous. This is very, very easy to single hit confirm straight into a super. It's also noteworthy that when this normal is cancelled directly into a super, it incurs no damage scaling penalty. The super will do 100% of its base damage. This is particularly threatening when you have level 3 stocked, and can do well over 50%. Crouching Heavy Kick is also a very solid anti-air, particularly against long-range jumps. If it counter-hits an airborne opponent, they are left in a juggle state. From far away, you can't link anything afterwards. But close up, you can link straight into Crouch Heavy Punch, level 1 or level 3. You can also cancel this straight into supers on anti-air, allowing a combo into level 2. But note that this is quite risky, as you will not get a combo if the opponent did not press an air normal. On a grounded or airborne punish counter, Crouch Heavy Kick will launch the opponent. A grounded punish counter can give you a juggle straight into light Serpent Lash. You can also go into a drive rush stand light kick from any range. This makes it very good as a whiff punish. On an airborne punish counter, you can connect into drive rush normals if you hit from far away. Or juggle straight into quarter circle back heavy punch up close. Crouching Heavy Kick also has above average juggle potential, meaning that you can tag it on at the end of some combos and then cancel into super. Standing Heavy Kick. Standing Heavy Kick is A.K.I.'s fastest heavy normal at 9 frames. It's also A.K.I.'s only special cancelable heavy normal. Standing Heavy Kick is probably her most versatile normal. It's vital for her combo game. Very good for whiff punishing. It's a very solid anti-air. And it forms a core part of her offensive pressure. On hit, Standing Heavy Kick is +4. You can link lights afterwards, but it's rarely worth doing. On counter hit, you can link into Stand Medium Punch, which is situational at best. However, on a punish counter, this move causes a special stagger state, which allows you to combo into both Heavy Kick Cruel Fate and Venomous Fang. Both of these are very important combo starters. The punish counter also adds a large screen shake effect with extra hit stop that makes it very easy to identify when choosing the right follow-ups. On regular hit, Stand Heavy Kick is A.K.I.'s only normal that can combo into Coward Crouch Roll. On block, this normal is -3. However, this move can be cancelled into Coward Crouch Roll to create a frame trap. You can also create a mix-up by cancelling into Coward Crouch Grab. However, note that this command grab is very slow and not a true tick throw. Stand Heavy Kick can also be cancelled into Light Snake Step in order to reposition, bait Drive Impact, and bait Invincible Reversals. As mentioned earlier, Stand Heavy Kick is a very good anti-air. It will cover a lot of angles in front of A.K.I. However, be careful as this will consistently lose to cross-ups. Jumping Heavy Kick. Jumping Heavy Kick is similar to Jumping Heavy Punch. It has a worse vertical angle than Jumping Heavy Punch and has to be pressed later in the jump arc. However, it makes up for this by having better horizontal range, allowing you to jump in from further out. It's also worth mentioning that Jump Heavy Kick does a lot more hit stun than Jump Heavy Punch. If pressed as early as possible, Jump Heavy Punch is only +6 on hit, while Jump Heavy Kick will be +9. This is an important distinction because +9 is the right amount of frames to be able to pick up a Stand Heavy Kick when you land. Okay, let's talk about command normals, starting with Down Forward Medium Punch. This is A.K.I.'s overhead. It's slower than most overheads, but it sort of compensates for that by having a kind of deceptive animation. A.K.I kind of crouches down at the beginning, which can make it not seem like an overhead. A.K.I can pick up a combo afterwards on counter hit, on punish counter, and most importantly from a drive rush. Due to this overhead being +3 on hit and having 3 active frames, it can also be done as a meaty, making it +4 or +5 depending on the setup. This is a big part of her corner set play. Forward heavy punch. Forward heavy punch is a slow lunging attack with 16 frames of startup, but it has very good range. It's -4 on block, but it's only punishable if done very close. On counter hit, you can link forward heavy punch into stand light kick. And on punish counter, you can link into stand medium punch. Although do note that these will not work from max range. Forward heavy punch is super cancelable. Similarly to crouch heavy kick, this can also be single hit confirmed. The window is a little bit smaller than crouch heavy kicks, but it's still doable. Forward heavy punch also does good damage to the opponent's drive gauge on block. I use this normal a lot to harass people when they're low on drive gauge. Forward heavy punch is also sometimes used at the end of combos to connect to super, particularly after a medium punch lash crumple. Forward heavy kick. Forward heavy kick is a 14 frame startup double hitting hop kick. Although A.K.I jumps into the air, this move doesn't actually cause her to become airborne. However, this move can crush lows from frame 11 onwards. Forward heavy kick is also +2 on block, making it a very good offensive pressure tool. Despite this move hitting twice, the second hit will still inherit bonus properties from counter hit and punish counter. You can take advantage of the plus frames on this move on block in a number of ways. If you press any light attack afterwards, you will get a counter hit. If you press standing medium punch afterwards, you can force a trade with the opponent's 4-frame button. This trade is usually advantageous enough for A.K.I that you can actually link another stand medium punch afterwards. The only exception to this, as far as I know, is JP. In this situation, you're only +5 after the trade rather than +6. You can still combo afterwards though. On regular hit, forward heavy kick is +4, allowing links into crouch light punch and stand light kick. It can also link into stand medium punch on counter hit. And stand medium kick after a punish counter or a drive rush. One thing to note though is that forward heavy kick as a combo starter adds more scaling than most of A.K.I.'s normals. You can see here that in this example, the crouch jab after the forward heavy kick immediately goes to 80% scaling. This is not present in her other heavies. Forward heavy kick cannot be cancelled into anything, and it is quite slow, which makes it very vulnerable to drive impact. It is possible to be made DI safe using certain meaty setups though. Forward jump down heavy punch. This is a fairly unique aerial command normal. It's input with down plus heavy punch in the air, and it can only be performed from a forward jump. A.K.I attacks in a backwards direction when using this normal, meaning that it can't actually hit your opponent from the front. But it is very, very good as a cross-up. It also has a significantly larger hitbox than jumping light kick, allowing it to hit from angles where normally you'd be unable to cross up. It also does significantly more hit stun than jump light kick, allowing combos straight into heavies. Because of its sharp vertical hitbox, it can also connect even from a very close forward jump. This can even be used as a way to punish your opponent's throw tech recovery from point blank. From very specific angles, it is possible to hit this normal as a non-cross-up. This will still cause A.K.I to land behind the opponent, but it can be very ambiguous if spaced properly. Okay, it's time to go through the special moves. Starting with Sinister Slide, also known as Coward Crouch. This special is performed with down and any 2 punch buttons. And it causes A.K.I to enter a stance where she slithers across the floor. During this stance, A.K.I will automatically move forward until an action is performed or she is hit out of it. While in this stance, A.K.I's hurtbox is significantly lowered. This allows her to avoid most projectiles, some normals, and even drive impacts. A.K.I is unable to block while in this stance, so it leaves you very vulnerable. A.K.I has 3 special moves that can be performed from this stance, and she also can end the stance early by pressing up. Be careful though, since manually exiting the stance by pressing up takes 21 frames, and A.K.I cannot block until the animation is complete. Heel Strike, also known as Coward Crouch Roll. This special move is performed by pressing any kick button while in Coward Crouch stance. It's a 2-hitting kick, and it's also safe on block at -3. On hit, this move is +4, allowing links into Crouch Light Punch and Stand Light Kick. On counter hit, you can link into Stand Medium Punch. And on punish counter, you can link into Stand Medium Kick. This move is a core combo tool for A.K.I. Most of the time, it will be comboed into directly from Standing Heavy Kick. You can also combo into it using a counter hit or punish counter medium punch. As mentioned earlier, this move is also a frame trap if cancelled into from stand heavy kick, beating any normal on startup. Additionally, if the opponent is expecting you to go for a command grab and they hold up, it will also lock them to the floor for a full combo. However, unlike forward heavy kick, this move is a special move and therefore it can be cancelled into a level 3 to protect you. Coward Crouch Roll can also be used in certain juggle combos. It's not the most juggle friendly move, but it's definitely workable. Entrapment, also known as her command grab. This move is performed by pressing light punch and light kick while in coward crouch stance. This move is a real command grab, meaning that it can't be teched like a normal throw and can only be avoided by jumping, backdashing, or using invulnerable moves. I think this move should be used sparingly due to the high risk, but it's an important part of A.K.I.'s mix-up game. A.K.I.'s command grab is very useful to punish people attempting to either parry or drive impact your strings, especially if you condition them first with Coward Crouch Roll. It's worth mentioning that A.K.I.'s command grab has a very slow animation, and it's also worth mentioning that poison damage will tick throughout this entire animation, which will noticeably boost the damage if the opponent is poisoned beforehand. Just as a fun fact, this move inflicts 1,852 damage, which is an oddly specific amount. The reason for that is that on punish counter, this move will inflict 2,222 damage, which is a cute little reference to Fang's obsession with the number 2. Venomous Fang. Venomous Fang is performed by pressing any punch button while in coward crouch stance. A.K.I will dive at the opponent, traveling almost full screen and knocking the opponent down on hit. A.K.I is invulnerable to projectiles during almost the entire dive, making this move an extremely potent fireball punish. Be careful though, fireballs with low recovery can be difficult to punish on reaction, especially from long range. Also, this move is extremely unsafe if blocked. On hit, Venomous Fang will also inflict poison. If the opponent is already poisoned, this move will activate 2 different Toxic Blossom effects depending on the opponent's current state. If the opponent is grounded and poisoned, the move will crumple them, allowing many combo conversions. If the opponent is airborne and poisoned, the move will send them into a tumbling state. While this state may appear visually similar to a knockdown, you should think of it more like another type of juggle state, and you can reliably combo afterwards depending on the situation. You can also choose not to continue the combo from this tumble state and instead take advantage of the extremely long knockdown time in order to set up Oki. Finally, Venomous Fang can be used as a very situational anti-air. It does not have a particularly good anti-air hitbox, but it travels quickly and it can sometimes snipe full screen jumps, particularly against a fireball trap. Nightshade Pulse, also known as A.K.I.'s Fireball. This move is performed by using a quarter circle back plus light punch. A.K.I throws a single projectile. This projectile inflicts poison on hit only. This fireball has some of the worst frame data of any projectile in the game at 52 total frames, so it often struggles to compete in a traditional fireball war. This fireball is also quite susceptible to jumps and drive impacts. On the flip side, this projectile travels extremely slowly, and because of that, I think it should be thought of not so much as a zoning tool, and more as a shield to safely approach behind, particularly when combined with A.K.I.'s incredible drive rush. This can be done both in neutral and as an Oki option. A.K.I.'s Fireball can be cancelled into 2 different follow-ups. She can cancel into Nightshade Chaser from frame 30. And she can also cancel into OD Snake Step from frame 36. These will be covered in more detail with their respective sections. A.K.I.'s Fireball also has an OD version. This is performed by inputting 2 punches instead of 1. The OD version of A.K.I.'s Fireball has 2 hits rather than 1. It also has significantly less recovery and knocks down on hit. This fireball functions similarly to the regular one, but it's much stronger as both a zoning option and as a shield to approach behind. The OD version of Fireball is also +1 on block, even from point blank, making it useful in pressure strings. Like the regular version of Fireball, the OD version can also be followed up with either OD Nightshade Chaser or OD Snake Step. Note that the OD version of Nightshade Chaser does not cost any additional drive gauge. It's also worth mentioning that OD Fireball can cancel into OD Snake Step slightly earlier than her regular Fireball. Regular Fireball will cancel on frame 35, while OD Fireball will cancel on frame 32. This makes it slightly safer against the opponent's anti-projectile moves. Nightshade Chaser. As mentioned earlier, this is a special follow-up to A.K.I.'s Fireballs that is performed with a forward plus punch input. It will naturally combo from her Fireball if done up close, and this will lead to a knockdown. Nightshade Chaser also technically counts as a toxic blossom effect, so the poison applied by the fireball will be instantly detonated. If the opponent blocks a fireball up close, for example when cancelling from a normal, Nightshade Chaser will frame trap them. This can make it hard for your opponent to take their turn back after blocking a fireball, as they'll be scared about the follow-up. Strangely, this move is actually -4 on hit if it connects from a blocked fireball, meaning that even on counter hit, A.K.I is actually -2. Because of the separation distance, you're basically put back to neutral though. Nightshade Chaser is extremely unsafe on block at -16, so don't abuse it. Even with the very long pushback distance, almost every character in the game can easily punish it using a drive rush into a 4 to 5 frame move. Some characters don't even need to drive rush to get a punish here. One useful use case for this move is to punish opponents attempting to advance on A.K.I using their Fireball plus Drive Rush combo, since your Fireball will clash with theirs, and then Nightshade Chaser will intercept them. Nightshade Chaser is also useful as a combo ender in some situations, as it will out-damage all versions of Serpent Lash when followed with a level 3. This is particularly noticeable at the end of long combos. As mentioned earlier, there is also an OD version of this move, but it can only be performed from OD Fireball. OD Chaser is significantly less useful than the regular version, since OD Fireball is already plus on block, which removes the need to use it as a frame trap option. The only reliable use case I've really found for OD Chaser is as a combo ender in very specific max damage combo routes, since it can be cancelled into both level 2 and level 3 supers. Orchid Spring, also known as Poison Puddle or Poison Pool. This move is performed using a quarter circle back plus medium punch input. A.K.I places a poison pool on the floor. This will inflict the poison status on any opponent that makes contact with it. It's also noteworthy that this is the only way A.K.I can poison the opponent while they're blocking. This is A.K.I's most reliable way to try to poison people from a neutral position, although she is very vulnerable while placing the pool. It's usually advised to only perform this move from a distance, or by using a fireball as protection. It can also be safely placed after most knockdowns. Opponents can be re-poisoned multiple times by the same pool as long as they are standing in it. This can allow you to get multiple toxic blossom effects back to back. This is very important for A.K.I's stun combos, as well as for some situational max damage routes. Toxic Wreath, also known as Bubble. This move is performed using a quarter circle back plus heavy punch input. A.K.I hits twice using a poisonous bubble directly in front of her. This move also poisons on hit and will knock the opponent down, but it has no toxic blossom effect. This is A.K.I's safest special move to buffer from a cancelable normal, as it's only -4 on block and leaves her far away enough that no 4 frame can actually punish. This move is generally a useful option to end chained light strings, particularly because it frame traps on block. Additionally, this move can also be used to force a trade. If it trades from crouch light punch with a 4 frame normal, A.K.I actually gets a trade combo afterwards. Be careful though, as this special is very vulnerable to drive impact. While not particularly potent in grounded combos, this special is extremely juggle friendly when landed against an airborne opponent. On a mid-screen air connect, this can reliably combo into either a drive rush crouch heavy punch for large corner carry, or link straight into level 2. On a cornered air connect, this could be juggled into drive rush stand heavy kick, which forms a key part of her corner combo routing and knockdown Oki. It's worth noting that although this move looks visually similar to some of A.K.I's projectile options, this is actually entirely a strike attack and cannot be used to negate fireballs. Serpent Lash, also known as Whip or Chain. This move can be performed by using a quarter circle forward and punch input. The different punches change the properties. The light punch version causes A.K.I to send her chain directly forward, extending about 2/3 of the screen. On hit, this inflicts poison, and on block, the move has variable frame data, depending on how far away you are. It can be anything from -6 to -8 on block, although if spaced, it's very hard for most characters to ever punish. The chain can also negate a projectile, however doing so will prevent it from also hitting the opponent. This move is fast and it covers a lot of distance and can generally be used to harass opponents in the mid-range. The reward on regular hit is fairly low, but it can chip away at your opponent's drive gauge or poison them from a stray hit. Be careful though, because this move is very vulnerable to both jump and drive impact. If Light Punch Lash connects on an already poisoned opponent, it will activate Toxic Blossom. This sends the opponent into a very limited juggle state. From most distances, it is not possible to follow up after this juggle, unless very close or in the corner. If you're close enough to your opponent, you can go into Crouch Heavy Punch, level 1 or level 3. If Light Punch Lash connects as a punish counter, it actually causes the opponent to crumple. If the opponent is not already poisoned, the crumple on punish counter is very short. You can't get any follow-ups from far away, but up close you have enough time to drive rush into a light. If the opponent is already poisoned, then the crumple on punish counter is significantly longer and can almost always combo into drive rush stand heavy kick. At the absolute tip, it's sometimes necessary to substitute stand heavy kick for either stand heavy punch or crouch heavy punch. Medium punch Serpent Lash. When activated with medium punch, this move changes to a diagonal upwards angle. On hit, this move launches the opponent far away and poisons them. This move is very unsafe on block at -12, and additionally this move cannot hit crouching characters, which is very important to keep in mind for her combo structure. It's also the slowest of all 3 regular versions of Serpent Lash, and will only combo from heavies, mediums, and standing light kick. Medium Serpent Lash can also be used as a situational anti-air, but it's very, very slow. Usually it's only reserved for hard reads on someone jumping a fireball. If the opponent is already poisoned, this move will activate Toxic Blossom, causing the opponent to be put in a crumple state. This crumple is one of A.K.I's most important combo tools, and there are many follow-ups to choose from. If the opponent is poisoned and airborne, the Toxic Blossom effect will pop them up into the air, allowing even further juggles. Heavy Punch Serpent Lash. When activated with Heavy Punch, the chain attacks vertically upwards. On hit, this version launches the opponent and poisons them. On block, it's very punishable. It's also faster than Medium Whip, and this special will combo from any special cancelable normal. Heavy Serpent Lash is one of A.K.I's best anti-airs. It has air invulnerability starting from frame 4. Note, however, that the purely vertical hitbox can make it whiff sometimes against empty jumps. If the opponent is already poisoned, this move will activate Toxic Blossom, launching them into a juggle state on both ground and air connect. This Toxic Blossom effect can be combined with its anti-air properties to give A.K.I very strong juggle starters from an anti-air. It is also possible to juggle after this move, even on a non-Toxic Blossom anti-air, but it has to hit very high up to do so. Crouch Heavy Punch level 1 and level 3 are the most common follow-ups here. OD Serpent Lash. The OD version is activated by pressing a quarter circle forward and any 2 punch buttons at the cost of 2 bars of drive. A.K.I sends a horizontal chain out in front of her, similar to the light punch version. The effect on hit is very different, however. A.K.I will pull herself in close to the opponent, poison them, and then be left point blank at +4 advantage. This allows links into standing light kick and crouching light punch. The relatively slow startup means that this will only combo from stand heavy kick and crouching medium punch. This move also has EX projectile durability. This means it will blow straight through any non-EX projectiles, making it a useful fireball punish. If it connects in this way, it will also often be a punish counter, allowing links into stand medium kick. Be aware though, the startup is fairly slow, so if you want to use it as a fireball punish, it's more of a read than a reaction. If you try to reaction punish, you're probably going to be too late. Additionally, this move only has 1 hit of projectile durability against other EX fireballs. This means it'll lose outright to any 2-hit EX fireball. During the part of the animation where A.K.I pulls herself close to the opponent, she is actually invincible. This can be used to avoid some attacks. On air connect, this move will still pull A.K.I in close and poison the opponent, allowing further juggles afterwards. If the opponent is already poisoned, this move will activate Toxic Blossom and cause a crumple on hit, similar to the medium punch whip effect. Notably, this crumple state is significantly longer than the one on medium whip. It's actually possible to combo into lights afterwards while keeping the opponent standing rather than forcing them into a juggle state. Generally, it's still preferred to juggle into heavies, so this doesn't provide that much of an advantage. It's also possible to combo into a grounded throw from this crumple, which can be used as a side switch option in the corner. On an airborne connect against a poisoned opponent, the Toxic Blossom effect here is very unique. Using it this way will completely reset the opponent's juggle state back to 0, allowing anything to connect afterwards, even normals. This effect is very useful for certain max damage juggle routes, particularly after stuns. This property of resetting the juggle state back to 0 can also be used to set up some very sneaky resets. Cruel Fate, also known as Flip or sometimes known as Daggers. This move is inputted by performing a quarter circle back plus kick. The different kick buttons have different effects. This is the light version. A.K.I will jump into the air and stab the opponent 4 times. This travels about halfway across the screen. A.K.I can also avoid projectiles while at the apex of this move. On hit, this move leaves A.K.I point blank and with +1 advantage. On block, it's safe at -3. It's only possible to get a combo afterwards on punish counter, which does rarely happen. Notably, this move becomes +1 when the opponent is in Burnout. This gives Aki a good way to maintain pressure, although there is a big gap when cancelled into from normals. When hitting an airborne opponent, this move will cause a very slight ground bounce effect, although most specials will usually not be fast enough to combo afterwards. You can still cancel straight into level 3, however. Uniquely among all versions of Cruel Fate, the light kick version actually adds 0 points to the juggle state. This can be combined with the juggle state reset effect of Toxic Blossom EX Lash to allow a juggle into stand light kick for advanced mix-ups. As mentioned previously, the final hit of this move can be cancelled into level 3. This can be useful for some juggle enders and can also be used to protect against late drive impacts. Medium kick Cruel Fate. This version is executed with a quarter circle back medium kick. It's quite similar to the light kick version, although slower on startup, but it travels slightly further. It's also +3 on hit rather than +1, which means you can link afterwards on counter hit as well as punish counter. Medium kick Cruel Fate is probably the least useful version. It travels a bit too far to be used in most Burnout Pressure strings, and it lacks the combo utility of the heavy kick version. Occasionally you can tack it on the end of a juggle. It also does slightly more damage than the light kick version. Heavy kick Cruel Fate. This version is executed with a heavy kick input. It travels nearly full screen, although it is the slowest version of this move. Unlike the light and medium versions, the heavy kick version is actually +4 on hit, allowing links afterwards into stand light kick and crouch light punch. You can only combo into this from a punish counter stand heavy kick. This is an extremely important punish counter combo route. You can also use the heavy kick version of Cruel Fate as a fireball punish due to the long range. This gives a punish counter link into stand medium kick. Uniquely, the heavy kick version of Cruel Fate does significantly more pushback on block compared to the light kick and medium kick versions. It's still -3, but Aki is placed outside of throw range, making it harder for your opponent to mix you up afterwards. The downside of this effect is that the increased pushback also applies in Burnout, making it significantly worse as a pressure tool than the light and medium kick versions. On Air Connect, this move puts the opponent into a ground bounce like the light and medium versions. However, the heavy version's ground bounce is significantly higher than the other two, and you can always get a juggle afterwards into level 1. This makes it a good way to end juggle combos if you don't want to spend 3 bars. If the heavy kick version of Cruel Fate hits extremely high in a juggle, you actually have enough time to juggle into light and heavy lash. If any of the 4 hits drop, this will not work. OD Cruel Fate. This version is executed using any 2 kick buttons. By holding forward or back once Aki leaves the ground, you can actually steer the flip to change her trajectory. On grounded hit, this move initiates a cinematic follow-up, poisons the opponent, and leaves them in a hard knockdown state. On block, this move is +2, making it very useful for continuing pressure. On an air hit, this move will not activate the cinematic follow-up and will instead put the opponent into a very high ground bounce, while also still poisoning them. This ground bounce is very juggle friendly and forms a core part of some of her juggle routes. It's worth mentioning that the cinematic follow-up on the grounded version will only activate if either the first or second hit connects. If only the third or fourth hit connects, you do not get the cinematic follow-up, and you can actually poison the opponent, and even continue a combo if you punish counter. This can actually happen quite often against fireballs. Okay, Snake Step, also known as Slide. Starting out with Light Snake Step. This is performed with a quarter circle forward plus light kick input. A.K.I lunges forward but then dashes backwards. A.K.I becomes projectile invulnerable from frame 8 all the way until the end of recovery. It's worth mentioning that because she's projectile invincible all the way until the end of recovery, even if you wake up back into the fireball, you can't actually get hit by it. You can always block. From frame 14 until the end of recovery, A.K.I has a very low profile hurt box. You can use this to avoid drive impact and certain reversals. The primary usage of this move is to allow A.K.I to reposition herself backwards while also baiting out certain options from your opponent, such as EXDPs and drive impact. You can also use this repositioning effect to go back to A.K.I's ideal anti-air range. Think of it mostly like a backdash that you can cancel into from normals. Medium Snake Step. This version is performed with a quarter circle forward plus medium kick input. A.K.I slides forward, covering a little more than half screen distance. But note that she cannot pass through her opponent, even from point blank. As with the light kick version, she gains projectile invulnerability and a low profile hurt box during the middle of the slide. Unfortunately, due to being relatively slow and very vulnerable during recovery, this move is almost never used to directly approach the opponent in neutral. The main utility of medium Snake Step is as a way to close in on opponents after certain knockdowns in order to get Oki. Heavy Kick Snake Step. This version is performed with a quarter circle forward plus heavy kick. Functionally, this is very similar to the medium kick version, except A.K.I travels even further, but it's even slower. Like the medium kick version, this is mostly used after knockdowns to cover ground quickly and get Oki. Unlike the medium kick version, however, the heavy kick version can side switch. This can make it a very situational option while A.K.I is burned out in order to escape the corner. OD Snake Step. This version is performed using any two kick buttons. A.K.I slides forward with a very similar trajectory to the heavy kick version. Unlike the heavy kick version, however, the OD version is fully strike and projectile invulnerable from the very first frame, making it a decent escape option to get out of pressure. Use it carefully though, as this move has no throw invulnerability, and being thrown out of it will be a forced punish counter, causing you to instantly lose 3 bars of drive on top of the throw damage. The recovery for this move is very unique. If A.K.I side switches through the opponent and gets to the other side, she will remain strike and projectile invulnerable all the way through until the end of recovery. However, if she does not pass through the opponent and instead stays on the same side, she does have hittable recovery. This effect is presumably to weaken its utility as a full screen fireball counter. As mentioned previously, this move can be cancelled into from A.K.I's fireballs. Doing this can protect you from common fireball punishes. You can also use this to trick your opponents into meeting your fireball with their own, only to slide in and punish. Okay, let's talk about Aki's supers, starting with her level 1 Deadly Implication. This one's performed with a double quarter circle plus kick input and costs 1 bar of super meter. Aki kicks the opponent into the air, activating a cinematic where she traps them in a bubble and detonates it. This super also poisons the opponent. This super is strike and throw invulnerable from the first frame, making it one of Aki's best wake up reversal options. Be aware though that this super has 10 frames of startup, which means it's actually possible for some characters to meteor jab and still recover in time to block. On hit, this super does 1800 damage, which makes it one of the lowest damaging level 1s when hitting raw. However, poison damage inflicted before the super will continue to tick during the entire long slow animation. Keep in mind also that due to the fact that poison damage is not subject to combo scaling, this is actually one of the highest damage level 1s if used at the end of a long combo, provided the opponent is already poisoned. The long horizontal range of this super also makes it a good punish tool, particularly against some characters' max range sweeps. In the corner, this super also gives a surprisingly good Oki situation afterwards. A fireball done immediately afterwards cannot be jumped, making it particularly good against opponents in Burnout. Level 2, Tainted Talons. This one's performed with a double quarter circle back plus punch input. Aki attacks with a barrage of poison lashes. These lashes have projectile hitboxes and will neutralize both regular and EX fireballs. The angle and distance of the super is determined by the punch button you press. Light punch attacks point blank. Medium punch covers a range from about half screen all the way to full screen. And heavy punch, all the hits will go full screen. Every hit of the level 2 will also inflict poison. Existing poison damage will tick during this super, but the animation is so fast that it doesn't make a noteworthy difference to her overall damage, unlike her level 1. This level 2 technically starts up in 7 frames, however the first active frame is way above Aki's head. The chains will not actually reach a grounded opponent until around frame 14. This makes it a lot slower than the frame data numbers would suggest. A lot of common punishes that you'd expect to work don't work. Unlike most level 2s, this super has no invulnerability whatsoever and you cannot use it as a reversal. It can however be used as a fireball punish, but will only work if the chains are able to wipe out the incoming projectile. If you miss the incoming projectile, Aki will get hit out of the animation, losing out on most of the damage and 2 bars of super, so you definitely don't want this to happen. Because of this, the medium punch version is actually a better projectile punish than the heavy punch version, since the heavy punch version usually misses the incoming fireball. This is the medium punch version, and this is the heavy punch version. The final hit of this super will spawn a very large pool of poison on the floor. This pool is similar to the one created by Orchid Spring. However, it's significantly larger, and uniquely, this pool will not disappear if Aki gets hit. Strangely, the medium and heavy versions of this super also cause the poison pool to very slowly creep forward. I don't know why the Light Punch version doesn't do this, and I don't know any real use for this property, but it's worth mentioning that it exists. This super also does good chip damage on block, and is somewhat safer than most level 2s at -19. This makes it a very good and relatively safe full screen chip out option against an opponent in Burnout. Be aware though that there are character specific ways to evade and punish this super even from full screen. The most common way to avoid it is any character that can change their air momentum. Level 3, also known as Claws of Yazi. This is performed with a double quarter circle forward and punch input, and costs 3 bars. A.K.I lunges forward to initiate the level 3 cinematic. It travels about half screen. As with most level 3s, this is fully invulnerable from frames 1 to 12, making it a very good reversal, albeit at a very high meter cost. Only use if you're certain it's gonna hit. The super itself is fairly standard like most level 3s. It does 4000 damage on hit, going up to 4500 if A.K.I is below the 25% health required for critical art. A.K.I can get Oki after both the regular level 3 and the critical art version by using a drive rush. It's worth noting that the critical art is actually less advantageous than the regular level 3. Generally, you want to follow regular level 3 with drive rush forward heavy kick, and critical art with drive rush stand medium punch. As mentioned previously, this cinematic freezes the timer completely. Poison damage will not tick at all during the level 3 animation, and therefore poisoning the opponent beforehand provides no additional benefit to this super. Okay, let's talk combos. Before we get into the combos though, I want to stress that Street Fighter 6's combo system has a ton of freedom, so I don't like to label any combo as optimal. A.K.I has a huge number of variables to choose from when picking combo routing, including drive gauge cost, super meter cost, regular hit, counter hit, punish counter, Okizeme after the combo, screen positioning, corner carry, whether the opponent is poisoned or not before the combo starts, and whether or not to poison them at the end of the combo. The following is a list of common B&Bs that cover a lot of these conditions, but I want to stress that this is not an exhaustive list of every combo ever, but I feel like it gives you the building blocks of her common roots to give you an idea of how it all fits together. I'm going to include combo notation on the screen for these, but there will also be a full list of notated combos in the attached document. Okay, let's talk about corner combos real quick. You may have noticed that all of the combos previously were mid-screen combos. The reason that I didn't include corner combos for A.K.I is that corner combos almost always use the same enders. So generally speaking, you want to do the same combo as the mid-screen route. However, the combo route diverges once you land either Toxic Blossom Medium Lash or Toxic Blossom Heavy Lash. These combos will be notated from the point that the Medium Lash connects. The combo that you use beforehand doesn't particularly matter as long as you end in Medium Punch Lash. For corner combos ending in Toxic Blossom Heavy Lash, you do the exact same combo as the Medium Lash routes, except you omit the stand heavy kick at the beginning. Refer to the Medium Lash combo for more details. Alright, up next, let's cover some anti-air combos. These include opponents being unpoisoned and poisoned. Okay, let's move on to stun combos. So after stunning an opponent in Burnout with a Drive Impact, A.K.I has some very strong and unique stun combos by taking advantage of the fact that she can set an Orchid Spring underneath the opponent before beginning the combo.
my masterwork. Orchid.
Okay, let's quickly talk about advanced Microwalk combos. By walking forward for a few frames in the middle of a combo, it's possible to restore a tiny amount of drive gauge. By doing this, you can perform 3 drive rush cancels in a single combo rather than the usual limit of 2. This is mostly for advanced play only, and only increases damage output by a very small amount. I would not recommend these combos for beginners. A.K.I generally has 2 Microwalks that you may see in real matches. I've classified them as the easier Microwalk and the hard Microwalk. The easier Microwalk up first is drive rush stand medium kick, walk forward for a few frames, and then stand medium punch. Here's an example combo. You'll know you've done this Microwalk correctly if after the drive rush, you still have a pixel of drive gauge. If you burn out after the second drive rush, you've missed the timing. This Microwalk is moderately lenient, and I think it's reasonably match viable. I go for this sometimes in matches, so it's definitely more doable. The harder Microwalk is this one. You do a drive rush stand heavy kick, walk forward, and then link into stand medium punch. Here's an example of that in a real combo. The hard Microwalk does fractionally more damage than the easier one, but the walk forward is frame perfect in this one, and I generally don't advise this for match safety. Use this one for style points, but I wouldn't bring it into tournaments. Okay, now that we've talked about A.K.I.'s combos, it's also now very important that we cover A.K.I.'s Oki. Once you finish your combo, you need to know where to go next. We're going to start with a thing called the plus 44 knockdown, which I've covered in quite a few of the combo routes. Many of A.K.I.'s common combo enders leave her at plus 44 knockdown advantage. This is an extremely important knockdown state to aim for, since it leads to a wide variety of powerful Oki options. Here are some examples of common plus 44 knockdown starters. Being plus 44 gives A.K.I access to an immediate safe jump. This safe jump is immune to the vast majority of anti-air reversals. There are a small number of exceptions though. Lily's Windclad Light and EX DP, and armored reversals such as Honda OD Headbutt and Marisa OD Scutum can get through it. Note, however, that you can still safe jump the armored reversals I just mentioned if you switch from a jumping heavy attack to a jumping light attack. This safe jump requires a lot of practice to take advantage of, however. You have to modify your air normal depending on whether your opponent recovers in place or they back roll. Generally, if your opponent recovers in place, you'll need to safe jump with a cross-up down heavy punch. If they back roll, you can safe jump with any other normal, although jump heavy punch and jump heavy kick are usually the preferred options. I would recommend investing a lot of time into practicing reacting to both of these recoveries. You can set a dummy in training mode to random recovery and then see if you can see both sides. Thankfully in the corner, you never need to react to your opponent's recovery type, as it doesn't matter if they quick rise or back roll. Some plus 44 knockdowns have been specially engineered to leave the opponent at a slightly further distance. These ones do not require you to adjust your safe jump for your opponent's recovery, making them much safer in matches if you're struggling to react to your opponent's wake up type. Here's a couple of examples. Now plus 44 Oki isn't just for safe jumps, it also has some other very strong options. You can double dash, which will leave you plus 6 point blank on both recoveries. After this, you have several options. You can either throw, although this must be delayed slightly. You can do a meaty crouch light kick, which will link into stand light kick. You can go for a crouch medium kick into a link, which will also be plus on block. You can also do a standing heavy kick, which will beat your opponent's wake up buttons and give you a big combo afterwards. You can also neutral jump. This is generally a hard read to beat your opponent trying to delay tech. You can also substitute this double dash for a medium kick snake step. This will leave you plus 5 rather than plus 6. Being plus 5 is better in some ways. You don't need to delay at all to land a throw here. However, medium kick snake step does not have as much horizontal travel as a double dash. As a result, on certain knockdowns, you can find yourself too far away to connect with proper links afterwards. This is particularly noticeable if the opponent back rolls. After a plus 44 knockdown, you can also set up a meaty overhead. This can be done against a cornered opponent or a mid-screen opponent that chooses to quick rise close to you. To perform this, you can simply dash after the knockdown and then do overhead. This overhead is plus 5 on a regular hit, which allows you to link into lights afterwards. Take advantage of the fact that the opponent is likely also poisoned. Another good option after the plus 44 knockdown is to do a drive rush. Doing an extended drive rush here is a powerful Oki option since you can cancel the late frames of drive rush into block. This allows you to either go for drive rush enhanced normals or bait reversals by cancelling the drive rush into a block. Here are some examples. You can do a drive rush forward heavy kick, which is plus 6 on block and plus 8 on hit. You can also do a drive rush crouching medium kick, which is plus 5 on block and plus 9 on hit. This is also especially good because it's a low. You can do a drive rush down forward medium punch, which is an overhead that's plus 2 on block and plus 7 on hit. You can also drive rush directly into a meaty throw, which will beat your opponent blocking or punish counter them if they wake up with parry. Finally, you can cancel out of the drive rush into back walk. This will bait out reversals and also shimmy if the opponent attempts a delayed throw tech. Okay, that's enough about the plus 44 knockdown. Let's talk about another key element of Aki's Oki game. Toxic Blossom Venomous Fang. Most corner combos can be ended with this move, which gives an extremely advantageous tumbling knockdown. This knockdown is plus 84 and gives you plenty of time to set up lots of different situations. You can perform an Orchid Spring after this knockdown, which will poison your opponent the moment they wake up, and this still leaves A.K.I at plus 38 advantage to go for further pressure. Here are some examples. After placing the puddle, you can whiff stand heavy punch to set up a tick throw. You can also whiff a stand medium punch to time yourself for a forward heavy kick meaty. If you whiff a stand light punch here, it also sets you up for a meaty overhead. This is plus 5 on hit and 0 on block. Another good option after placing the Orchid Spring is dash into a drive rush crouch medium kick. This is a meaty low that's plus 11 on hit and plus 7 on block. Finally, you can follow up the Orchid Spring with an instant fireball. This fireball will hit meaty, is plus 17 on hit, plus 12 on block, and will also protect you against wake up level 1s and certain reversals. Note that these corner options are particularly powerful because they can almost all be used to loop back into the same situation. If you choose not to place the Orchid Spring after the Venomous Fang knockdown, you can instead whiff a crouch heavy punch. This will convert the existing knockdown into a plus 44 knockdown, which enables any of the previous Oki options. Another powerful Oki option after Toxic Blossom Venomous Fang is performing a light snake step into a fireball and then a drive rush. The fireball hits extremely meaty, which gives you very large advantage on hit and on block. This setup also has a built-in defensive option select. The drive rush causes you to transition through parry for a small number of frames before you start moving. You will automatically parry any fast invulnerable reversals your opponent does, such as OD DPs. Keep in mind that this effect will automatically happen without any extra inputs on your part, making it very, very safe. Note, however, that this will not work against slower reversals, since you'll be too far into the drive rush startup to automatically parry. Ed's EXDP is a good example. Finally, I'm going to show off some assorted Oki options from other common knockdown situations. Let's start with forward throw. After a forward throw, you can perform a drive rush standing medium kick. This leaves you far away if the opponent back rolls, but because it hits meaty, you can always link into a stand heavy punch. You can also perform a drive rush stand medium punch. This will leave you closer than stand medium kick for better pressure, but you have to manually time it. It will whiff if you do it instantly. After a back throw, you can do a drive rush into a forward heavy kick. This is manually timed, but it leaves you point blank and very plus on both recoveries. If you back throw your opponent directly into the corner, you can do a regular dash and still be plus 8. Up next, we're going to cover some fireball trap knockdowns. Several knockdowns that A.K.I has can only give Oki with a drive rush. Here are some common examples. Rather than going for a typical drive rush here, you can also opt to throw a fireball first and then drive rush behind it. Although this fireball is not a true meaty, it does create a very nasty trap where your opponent will either have to defend against the fireball or jump over it. If they jump the fireball, you can actually anti-air on reaction with a drive rush stand heavy kick, and this can lead to some very stylish combos. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about Aki's Oki game. Let's talk a little bit about the reverse. Let's talk about Aki's defense. Aki overall has some of the weaker defensive options in the game, but they must all be utilized to avoid getting mauled once your opponent knocks you down. Here's a brief list of Aki's main defensive options besides just regular blocking. Perfect Parry, which will beat strikes and projectiles. Delayed Throw Tech, which will counter throws and will protect you against meaty buttons. Wake Up Drive Reversal, which will beat throws and meaty normals with large recovery. Block and Parry Drive Reversal will beat drive rush cancels and moves with a lot of recovery. Forward Jump is also a good option for Aki. It evades throws and shimmies, and because of how sharply her jump down heavy punch can cross up, it will still hit some throw recovery. Keep in mind though that this is still vulnerable to crosscut DPs and the opponent walking under your jump. Backdash is another good defensive option. It will beat throws and can often follow up with a punish counter crouch light punch, especially in the corner. Crouch light punch is also a good button to interrupt with. It will beat fake pressure strings or mistimed meaties. Standing medium punch is also a good interrupt button, surprisingly. It will beat spacing traps that would normally cause crouching light punch to whiff, particularly after the opponent has used multiple lights to space themselves out. As mentioned earlier, OD Snake Step is also a good option. Keep in mind that this will lose to throws. Finally, you can also use your level 1 and level 3 supers. All of these defensive options have a very limited set of counters. Make sure you rotate them in a way that's unpredictable and try not to overuse any singular option too much. Okay, let's talk about Burnout Pressure next. One of Aki's most interesting aspects is her wide range of strong Burnout Pressure loops. These are sequences of moves where the opponent cannot interrupt while in burnout unless they have access to an invincible super. Sometimes these can even be used to create checkmate scenarios. Let's start with Crouch Light Punch into Standing Medium Punch. If you loop these two normals repeatedly, it creates a frame trap that also drags the opponent towards the corner. This loop cannot be interrupted by anything except Invincible Supers, Marisa's Scutum, and JP's Amnesia. Note that each successive loop pushes you further away from the opponent. You'll usually be too far away to continue after around 3 or 4 reps. If you have plenty of drive gauge to spare, you can wait until you're just about to push yourself too far out, and then do stand medium punch, drive rush cancel into another stand medium punch, then do a third stand medium punch, and then restart the loop. This sequence can be repeated multiple times, although be careful not to burn yourself out or let the opponent escape burnout. Once you reach the corner, you have several different options to attempt to stun your opponent. You can attempt stand medium punch straight into a DI. This is the simplest and most straightforward option, although there is a fairly large gap between medium punch and drive impact. High level opponents can punish you with a throw before the DI hits. Another option is to do crouch light punch, and then rather than doing a stand medium punch, you swap it for stand heavy kick into DI. By switching stand medium punch for stand heavy kick, the gap into the DI becomes so small that the opponent cannot escape without an invincible reversal. However, do keep in mind that crouch light punch into stand heavy kick is not a true frame trap. The opponent can interrupt before you get a chance to attempt the DI. Given that the previous two options both have holes that allow the opponent to interrupt, this final option is much safer than the other two, but significantly more expensive. You can do stand medium punch, drive rush cancel, crouch medium punch, and then cancel into DI. This is significantly more costly to your drive gauge than the previous two. It requires 4 bars of drive to perform rather than 1. However, in exchange, every part of this sequence is uninterruptible without an invincible reversal. This is very useful for checkmate scenarios. The gap between drive rush crouch medium punch and drive impact is so small in fact that even JP cannot interrupt with amnesia. Another variant of the Burnout Pressure loop is to integrate a coward crouch roll into each rep. This sequence is also a looping frame trap, however if the opponent attempts to interrupt between stand medium punch and roll, they'll trade. A.K.I can actually combo off this trade. Because of this trade, it's less safe than the crouch light punch standing medium punch loop, but in exchange you will also deal a small amount of chip damage to the opponent with each rep. This is because the roll counts as a special move. This can be useful to get a tiny bit of damage before stunning the opponent. It may be the difference between the stun combo killing and leaving the opponent still alive. Another good burnout option is light and medium Cruel Fate. As mentioned previously, Cruel Fate also becomes plus in burnout. This can be used as a way to bring yourself back to the point blank position meterlessly. This allows you to restart a loop once you push yourself too far away. However, keep in mind that this is a risky option as there's a large gap between any normal and Cruel Fate connecting and can be interrupted, so use with caution. Interestingly, Cruel Fate can also completely avoid many common wake-up supers. This makes it useful in Burnout Pressure strings, both for resuming a loop and also baiting out lots of common level 1s, level 2s, and level 3s. I'll include a list on screen of all the supers I've found that this can beat. Keep in mind that when this interaction occurs, you also get a punish counter on Light Cruel Fate. This is the rare scenario where you can actually combo afterwards. Finally, I'm going to go over some matchup notes for each character. These are character-specific interactions that I feel are important or worth mentioning, but I don't think these should be seen as a full matchup guide. If I made a full guide for every matchup in the game, this video would be 15 hours long, which I'm trying to avoid, so I'm just going to focus on a few key points for each character. You can reliably beat Luke's Sandblast with Venomous Fang. Make sure to punish uncharged Heavy Punch Flash Knuckle with Crouch Light Punch. Luke has very strong jumping normals that Luke players like to press early in the jump arc. This makes Crouch Heavy Kick significantly more likely to punish counter than in most other matchups. Be ready to pick up a combo if this happens. Take advantage of A.K.I.'s extremely good drive rush to prevent Jamie from drinking. Jamie players often like to try and get a drink in before a fireball reaches them. You can bait this out by cancelling into OD Snake Step to close the gap. At medium distance, you can punish Jamie's sweep with Stand Heavy Kick. And even at absolute max range, you can always get a punish with Crouch Heavy Punch. Jamie's first Wrecker is -6 on block. This allows punishes with Stand Medium Punch if it's poorly spaced. Be aware though that you will open yourself up for a spacing trap if they Wrecker from further away. Manon's overhead spin kick is -9 on block. Punish it with stand heavy kick if spaced poorly, or stand medium kick if a little further away. At max range, A.K.I cannot punish this on block. Be aware of Manon's jump approach. She can threaten a jump in from significantly further away than most characters, but crouch heavy kick will consistently anti-air at this distance. Manon's level 2 is extremely unsafe on block. Take advantage of this recovery by backdashing twice and then place an Orchid Spring. Against Kimberly, stand heavy kick will intercept both teleports if you react correctly. You'll also get a full combo regardless of which version is used, so press heavy kick as soon as you see any puff of smoke. Then use the screen shake to choose which combo to go for. You can punish Kimberly's light shoulder with a crouch light punch. Make sure to punish blocked run slide with heavies up close and lights at long range. Almost all of Kimberly's run cancels are interruptible. If you see a Kimberly player cancel any normal into her regular command run other than crouching heavy punch, you can always interrupt with a jab. Many of Marisa's common moves to throw out in neutral can be low profiled by going into coward crouch. This can be used to evade and punish Superman Punch, Step Kick, and Gladius. Don't overuse this, however, as Marisa can punish you severely if she predicts you'll enter stance. Marisa's Gladius has a very large extended hurt box on whiff. Wait until she's finished charging and then respond with stand heavy kick. As mentioned previously, OD Scutum can't be safe jumped using jumping heavy normals. However, if you switch to a jumping light attack, you can block in time, which will give you a +3 situation and take 2 bars of drive from the Marisa player. Note that crouching medium kick and crouching heavy kick are very useful pokes in this matchup. They both hit low enough to ignore the armor on OD Gladius. You can also single hit confirm them into super. Take advantage of A.K.I.'s extremely fast drive rush to close the gap if Lily attempts to charge wind stocks from distance. Be careful though, because if she holds the heavy spin, she can release it on reaction to punish drive rush. This can be mitigated by throwing a fireball beforehand. You can also cancel out of your drive rush into light Serpent Lash. This will end your forward momentum, and it might even give you a combo on punish counter. Once Lily has wind charges, she can easily punish fireballs using OD Condor Spire. Using fireballs is ill-advised once she's got stocks. You can low profile underneath OD Condor Spire using either Cower Crouch or light Snake Step. It's even possible to transition from Coward Crouch into a roll just as Lily is about to pass over you in order to get a punish. The timing's quite strict though. Lily's level 2 and 3 both have gigantic recovery on block and after a neutral jump. Both can lead to an Orchid Spring combo. Be careful attempting a safe jump if Lily has wind stocks. High level players will punish you with Wake Up Windclad Light or OD DP. This can be baited, but you have to do an empty jump. JP's standing heavy punch has a large hurt box around his feet. On whiff, it can be tempting to try to punish with standing normals, but crouching heavy punch is significantly more consistent. JP has no reliable defensive options against meaty projectiles. This can be particularly exploited in the corner, as it will be OD Amnesia as well as all three of his supers. Although A.K.I's level 1 is not projectile invulnerable on startup, she becomes fully invincible the moment that the first hit connects, and this initiates the cinematic follow-up. You can take advantage of this cinematic invulnerability to avoid amnesia bombs. A.K.I's jumping heavy punch can be surprisingly difficult for JP to consistently anti-air. It will often trade with JP's crouch heavy punch, which may sometimes be a trade worth fishing for if you have the life lead. Perfect parry into a drive rush can be very useful to get through JP's projectiles. Against his ground spike, you can get a punish counter drive rush stand heavy kick from the mid-range. You can even do a drive rush crouch heavy punch out of perfect parry from almost full screen. You can also use this against his horizontal fireballs, including the first hit of the OD version. It doesn't always lead to a punish, but you can still utilize the drive rush to get frame advantage on block. JP is very unique because his regular amnesia is active on frame 2. This makes him one of the only characters in the game able to easily counter A.K.I's burnout pressure. While you should still be proactive against a burned out JP, you can't really utilize most of A.K.I's burnout loops. You can punish JP's down forward heavy punch with A.K.I's crouch heavy punch. This works at most ranges, however be aware that at the absolute tip, it can't be punished. Light Serpent Lash can pass over Juri's fireball. While this trade does slightly more damage to A.K.I than it does to Juri, it's often still worth going for. You get a hard knockdown, and you also manage to take away one of Juri's stocks. OD Serpent Lash will also pass over the fireball. However, instead of trading with it, you can get a full combo. Juri's medium kick Fuha Store is -6 on block, and at most ranges, A.K.I can punish with a stand medium punch. Be aware that Juri can be safe, but it has to be at the absolute tip. Juri's dive kick can often make A.K.I's anti-airs whiff. Generally, the better option here is just to block the dive kick and punish. Juri's dive kick is almost never safe on block. You can punish Deejay's medium punch, heavy punch, and EX fireballs with Venomous Fang. Be careful though, since he can feint with light fireball. Try to react to the projectile actually appearing rather than just going for a guess. If you aren't sure if he's going to feint or not, then just cancel out of the stance. You can punish Deejay's medium kick Sobat with stand medium punch, but only if it's poorly spaced. Deejay's knee shot forces him into a punish counter state on anti-air. You can take advantage of this using stand heavy kick for a guaranteed juggle afterwards. Deejay is one of only 3 characters in the game without an invulnerable level 1. If he enters Burnout while below 2 bars of super, you can absolutely maul him. Cammy has many different ways of approaching from the air that can be difficult to stop. Heavy Punch Lash is your most consistent grounded option. It has to be performed early against low dive kicks. Jump back medium kick is an extremely good anti-air in this matchup. It will consistently beat dive kicks, and due to the forced punish counter, Cammy will be knocked down. You can drive rush back in for pressure after this situation, even on a back jump. Cammy players will often attempt to bypass fireballs using Spin Knuckle. Try to intercept it with either Crouch Light Punch or Stand Medium Punch. Many of Cammy's hooligan mix-ups can be stuffed with a jab. This will also put Cammy into a forced knockdown state, which allows further juggles. Be very careful using fireballs once Cammy has 3 bars of super. Her level 3 is extremely fast and can punish even from full screen. If you did throw a fireball during the super flash, it's always worth trying to cancel into EX Snake Step. It doesn't always work, but if it does, it might save you. Keep in mind that if you pull off this escape, you don't get any punish afterwards. You can reliably punish Ryu's fireballs using Venomous Fang. A.K.I's stand medium kick is very good in neutral in this matchup. It'll beat a lot of common Ryu pokes, and you can usually link afterwards. You can punish a blocked sweep using Crouch Heavy Kick. This works at nearly every range and leads to a juggle with Drive Rush. At the absolute tip of Ryu's sweep, you need to switch to Stand Heavy Punch instead. Against Honda, try to perfect parry both headbutt and butt slam. Against headbutt specifically, you can attempt to perfect parry and then double tap forward afterwards. This will transition into a drive rush in case Honda stops early with light headbutt. Heavy Punch Lash will consistently anti-air butt slam, but only if Honda stays in front of you. The Lash will often hit very high up in the air. This usually leads into a juggle even without Toxic Blossom. You can also use Stand Heavy Kick, which will lead to a juggle afterwards. Be aware that if Honda passes behind you, then both Heavy Lash and Stand Heavy Kick will lose. You will likely get punish countered. At this angle, your most consistent anti-air is to air-to-air. Jump Medium Punch is a good example. As mentioned previously, you can't safe jump Honda using jumping heavies. By switching to jumping lights, you can protect yourself against Wake Up EX Headbutt. Honda's level 2 is a projectile punish. However, it can easily be baited and avoided by throwing fireballs and then cancelling into EX Snake Step after the flash. Honda players like to use neutral jump heavy punch to steer themselves over fireballs without risking a forward jump. You can punish this with a drive rush into Stand Heavy Kick. You can punish all versions of Blanka Ball by doing a drive impact the moment before Blanka makes contact. The timing is quite strict though, and you'll be left open for a large punish if you fail. Perfect parry is the safer but less rewarding option. When pressuring Blanka, a delayed Stand Heavy Kick is a good option since it will cover both Wake Up OD Up Ball and Wake Up OD Air Ball. Be very cautious throwing fireballs against Blanka. He can easily punish them on reaction with down forward heavy punch. Blanka's forward heavy punch is safe at max range, but can be punished with crouch heavy punch if not spaced correctly. Blanka's down forward heavy punch is different to a lot of sliding sweeps. Even at the absolute tip, it is still extremely punishable on block. Standing heavy kick will consistently punish even the late active frames. You can anti-air his rainbow roll with stand heavy kick for a free juggle. Against Guile, Venomous Fang can punish booms, however the window is very small, so you have to react very early. Guile's medium kick Sobat is -6 on block. You can punish it with stand medium punch if not correctly spaced. Guile's heavy kick upside down kick is -8 on block. You can punish it with crouch medium punch up close or stand medium kick from slightly further out. A.K.I can reliably punish Sonic Blade with crouch heavy kick and crouch heavy punch, even from distance. Do not let Guile players set this up carelessly. It can look like the projectile is blocking you from hitting him, but he has a very large hurt box during this move. You can also drive rush beforehand if they attempt to set it up from full screen. Guile's crouch medium kick to forward medium punch target combo can be punished in several ways. Either interrupt in the middle with stand light kick, or punish the overhead on block with another stand light kick. Keep in mind though that the overhead is safe if it's spaced out. Guile's OD flash kick can be baited out on block by using a max range stand heavy kick cancelled into light snake step. This is a very useful tool since every other special cancel that A.K.I can perform from stand heavy kick loses to this. You can punish a poorly spaced run heavy kick from Ken with either crouch light punch or stand light kick. You can also Venomous Fang through Ken's fireballs. This punish is very consistent and more lenient than most due to Ken's below average fireball recovery. You can punish Ken's heavy kick Dragon Lash with either perfect parry, an early drive impact, or a stand jab interrupt. Chun Li's medium kick Hazanshu is a common move for Chun players to throw out. It punishes fireballs and it's also safe on block. You can try to interrupt it in the air with a stand medium punch buffered into coward crouch roll. This covers for both a grounded hit and an air hit. You can also perfect parry the landing. EX Hazanshu is also common in neutral. It's a better fireball punish than her other versions. This version's -5 on block, so you can punish with crouch light punch up close. From max range, you can only punish with crouch light kick into a crouch medium kick. This can be super cancelled though. If a Chun Li player attempts to escape the corner using a wall jump, she'll be forced into a juggle state by any anti-air normal. Stand heavy kick will give you a big juggle. Chun Li can go into her low profile stance to avoid incoming fireballs. This makes it difficult to drive rush behind fireballs since she can cancel into the medium punch follow-up. You can bait this out by cancelling your drive rush momentum into a light punch lash for a punish counter. You can punish Zangief's sweep with crouch heavy kick at most ranges. At the absolute tip, you have to use crouch heavy punch. This move is never safe against A.K.I. If you ever block Zangief's lariat, a drive impact will always punish the remaining spins. Zangief's forward heavy kick overhead is -9 at worst. You can punish it with stand heavy kick if it's performed too close, although be aware it's often safe if spaced properly. A.K.I.'s crouch heavy kick is a very good normal in this matchup. It will counter a lot of Gief's common pokes, most notably it will cleanly stuff his armored standing heavy punch. Gief is another character with no good reversal level 1. If you get him into Burnout and he has less than 2 bars, you can bully him. Note that his level 1 is invincible, but if he uses it to try and escape a sequence, you can just punish on the other side. Zangief's level 2 is extremely slow on start up. If a Geef player attempts to punish your fireball with it, you can almost always cancel into EX Snake Step. You then have enough time left over while Geef is stuck spinning to set up an Orchid Spring. Dhalsim players like to float a lot in neutral in order to avoid incoming fireballs. You can snipe him out of the sky with Venomous Fang at low heights. At higher heights, Medium Punch Lash also works. You can often even juggle after both of these interactions. If you see Dhalsim attempt an instant air teleport, you can just press stand light punch. If he teleports in, you'll get a full juggle. If he teleports away, you're at no risk. If Dhalsim is floating high above you, then anti-air with stand heavy kick for a full juggle. Dhalsim's long-range normals can be whiff punished on reaction. Stand heavy kick buffered into a drive rush can pick up combos even from full screen. Keep in mind that Dhalsim has very weak wake-up options. His level 1 is not invincible, and his level 2 cannot hit crouching characters. A meaty crouch medium kick is a very good option in this matchup. If Dhalsim does wake up with his level 2, especially in the corner, wait until he releases it into the air. The easiest punish is a throw. If the opponent is already poisoned, you can actually utilize the invulnerability on OD Lash to evade the level 2 and continue the combo. Rashid's fireballs are very easy to punish with Venomous Fang. You can punish Rashid's stand heavy kick with a stand light kick if not spaced correctly. If Rashid tries to give himself plus frames using heavy punch Cyclone, you can interrupt with stand medium punch and then confirm into another light attack. If Rashid attempts to raw activate his level 2, A.K.I can actually punish it with her own level 2, even from full screen. Don't try to manually time your level 2 here after the Super Flash. You can take advantage of Street Fighter 6's buffer system by inputting a double quarter circle back during Rashid's super animation and then holding down punch. This gives you a 100% consistent reversal timing. Be aware that Rashid can make this level 2 activation safe, either by getting a knockdown or putting you in block stun with EX Fireball. You can also completely pass through Rashid's level 2 using either OD Snake Step or Venomous Fang, but note that both these options are very punishable if baited out. If you're already in Coward Crouch stance before Rashid activates the super, Venomous Fang is actually a guaranteed punish, even from full screen. If Rashid attempts to fly around the screen or escape the corner using Arabian Sky High, wait until the double jump is fully completed and then anti-air with stand heavy kick. If he's too far away, you can also use medium punch Serpent Lash or chase him down with a drive rush. Rashid players sometimes like to knock you down with medium kick eagle spike and then fully charge a fireball for Oki. You can actually punish this easily by waking up with forward jump heavy punch. In the mirror match, A.K.I can punish her own fireball very easily with Venomous Fang. Be aware though that the opposing A.K.I can escape using OD Snake Step. It's still worth going for because you'll drain 2 bars of drive from your opponent. I've already covered most aspects of A.K.I.'s kit in the main body of this guide, so I'm going to treat the rest of the guide as kind of the anti-A.K.I guide. Refer to that for punishes and counters. Ed's Light Punch Blitz is -5 on block. You can punish it from all ranges with stand light kick. Ed players like to use Charged Flicker in this matchup. It will interrupt you if you go for a fireball into drive rush approach. You can counter punish this hard by doing fireball into Venomous Fang or OD Snake Step. Ed's jumping medium kick allows him to threaten a jump in from very far angles, as well as neutral jump from mid-screen. A.K.I.'s crouch heavy kick will anti-air this very consistently. Ed's OD uppercut is much slower on startup than most invincible reversals. A meaty crouch light punch will still give you plenty of time to block and punish. His level 1 super is also slow. Usually it can't punish jabs. Wake Up Drive Reversal is very useful against Ed's Charged Flicker Oki, as it will still reach after Ed's forward throw in the corner. Don't overuse this though, since Ed can bait it by cancelling into a backdash. This requires a hard read on his part though. You can punish Akuma's fireball with Venomous Fang. The second hit of Akuma's stand heavy kick whiffs on crouches. You can wait until it passes over your head and then punish with crouch medium kick. Akuma's air fireball is tricky to stop. From close ranges, crouch heavy kick is your most consistent option. From further out, you can respond with a forward jump of your own, drive impact, OD lash, or Venomous Fang. Keep in mind though that these options all lose to regular jumps. Only use them if you're certain air fireball is coming. If you're unsure what air option Akuma is going to use, the safest option is generally just a backdash. You can reliably punish Demon Flip with stand heavy kick. This leads to a full juggle. If you made it this far into the guide, we're at the end now. I'd just like to thank everyone who has been supporting my stream and my YouTube lately. If you've got any questions that you feel were not covered by the guide, you can always drop into the stream and ask. I try and help where I can. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video.